He came right in, told us, basically how many murders he had, and told us about where they were in the Castellano, murder scene, about all the other crimes. So he was ready to deal, and we dealt. We had a negotiation.
Now, in fairness, there was some criticism, on that deal versus what he actually did. In retrospect, do you regret any parts of the deal, or do you still kind of stand firm on it?
Stand firm. And let me just do one thing that is insufficiently part of this conversation.
Yeah.
Sammy helped us convict almost 50 people.
Yeah.
And those people, had they unburdened themselves by telling us how many murders they had, like Sammy had to, I guarantee you they would have had a lot more murders than Gravano committed. Even more important, we put those guys in, and the number of bodies they would have had charged to their account in the future is very important. Those guys were killers. So, look, reasonable people can differ about whether you give a deal to a guy like Gravano, but the way I look at it, you want a ticket, you want a front row seat to a prize fight, you got to pay for the ticket.
Yeah.
You want a row seat to the upper echelons of organized crime, you got to offer, an incentive to someone like Sammy to provide it. So I have no regrets at all about that deal. I think that deal was great for crime control, but I understand why people might feel differently.
Now, I was younger at the time. Obviously the media comes into play, but and I appreciate you defending your position. Let's talk about what were some of the compounding effects of the mob that we don't talk about. Your coffee's a little more expensive, or your rent's more expensive, or, at that time, these guys had a grip on society. What are some of the compound effects that we don't talk about?
Yeah, good. These are good.
Thank you, Judge.
And your listeners should know we didn't talk about these questions. Yeah. But, the popular misconception about the mob is that they do gambling and loan sharking, and they even say prostitution. Yeah. The mob does prostitution. Yeah. But they don't make their money with that. John Gotti's crew did, but the Gambino family made its money through labor racketeering.
Correct.
And I just choose one industry to give you the example. You can't get a truck on a construction site in Manhattan unless the on-site steward for the Teamsters Union, Local 282, lets the truck in.
Yeah.
If that guy decides not to let the truck in, an hour, 2 hours costs millions of dollars. It's a very intricate construction plans, right? Yeah. So if you're an owner or a construction manager, that's there. So maybe you're going to give the drywall contract or the rebar contract to the company that's with the wise guys.
Yeah.
So for decades, for every yard of concrete poured in every major construction site in Manhattan, $3 a yard went to the mob. One to the Gambino family, one to the Genovese family, headed by Chin Gigante, and the other to the corrupt union official in charge of Local 282 of the Teamsters.
Wow.
That's how they make their money. Yeah. Millions of dollars over short periods of time. Yeah. And you look at the piers, same deal. Garbage carting.
Javits Center, yeah.
Center. It's like people didn't understand what a parasite the mob was on all sectors of the economy in New York. That's how they made their money.
Now, you as a prosecutor, and, you obviously had a different lens, but, respectfully, and your book is going to be a bestseller if it's not already. I know it just came out, and we'll put some links below. You got to read it. I'm halfway through, and it's a real deal. But being in the same courtroom as John Gotti, being in his presence, how did that feel like, Judge?
Well, look, I was a kid. That first trial was 7 months.
Yeah.
So, and I was sheltered.
Yeah.
And, the trial got really acrimonious in the defense case when they called the witness who accused me and my wife of suborning perjury by dealing drugs. Until then, I would talk to them during breaks in the court, and we actually kind of got along. He acted the whole